It was literally my very first tournament. I had never played competitive wargaming before. This was Warhammer 40,000. It was all narrative. It was all hobby. But the gaming club, the gaming group was going to this big event, and we were trying to get as many club members as possible. So my army was all set, practicing, all set, ready to go. And my good friend, the War Master, goes, "Fritz, where's your display board?" And I'm like, "What do you mean a display board? We've got 3 days to go." And he outlined the reasons why I need a display board. And this has been true. This recommendation, giving credit where credit is due, has echoed throughout the ages, whether it was Warhammer 40,000, when I was playing X-Wing miniatures competitively, or other wargaming systems. You need a display board. Now, just how complex that board is, that depends on a lot of factors. But the primary reason for a display board is transporting your miniatures in between games. If you've ever played competitively and you've gone to a tournament, the rounds, to be fair for everybody, they're fixed. You have a fixed amount of time, whether that's an hour and a half, 2 hours, 3 hours. I think usually it's around 2 hours. When that round ends, there's a brief window, 5-10 minutes, before you have to start your next game, before you find your matchup. Now, if you get crushed early on, okay, we don't want that to happen, but then you have lots of time in between rounds. But most games, you're going to take your time, look to strategize. That's going to leave a little bit of a window. So think about a normal war game that you play. You take losses, and some of these events, depending on the system, of course, you might have an army with a lot of miniatures, a lot of elements. As you take losses, normally, what do? You put them off to the side of the table, you play your game, and then at the end, you pack them up and put them back in your bag. Well, that takes time. That eats into time. And often in a tournament, the tables are very narrow. You're packed in. You don't have a lot of room. It's not practical to take your miniatures and then repack them in your bag and then take them out, in and out. A display board lets you take your miniatures, put them on this board as you take losses, and literally at the end of the game, pick the board up and walk to the next table. This cuts down on a tremendous amount of stress. The stress of having to quickly pack up all your miniatures, get your dice, get your tape, get all your stuff, figure everything out, find the table, unpack your miniatures, repack them. You just go, put them on the board, walk to the next. The other advantage that this has is it keeps your models isolated. We don't want them to break. We don't want them to get lost. We don't want someone to bump into them. So having a display board off to the side or under the table as you take losses, you put it on the board. You put it on the board. It just works. Now, some boards are also built into a theme. Sometimes what you'll see is this idea of best painted, best army. You want to showcase, you want to frame your army. So it could be something as simple as a textured board with some dry brushing. It could be a little more complex as a textured board with dry brushing and some paint where the bases are cut out. So literally you can just slot in your miniatures. It could be part of a diorama where you've got some ruined buildings. You've got a battle scene. You've got some lighting effects. It's a way to showcase, if we take it in that hobby direction, to showcase your army and to build the narrative and work into best army, favorite army, best painted army, pushing it in that direction. Of course, you could take it one step forward and make the display board that fits into your bag or your gaming case. But at its core concept, the main reason for it, and absolutely I recommend a display board, is to be able to, at the start of the tournament, unpack your bag, put out all your miniatures on the board, put your dice, your tape, your measuring sticks, whatever it's going to be, your cards, X-Wing miniatures, and in between rounds, you just transport it. You're ready to go. Very, very easy because you need to reset. You want to reset. You want to keep that stress down in between rounds because you've got a brief amount of time. So that shift to competitive play, yes, it's tactics. Yes, it's mindset, but there are a couple of other tools that are very, very useful for keeping you focused and making things as easy as possible to have a great tournament experience.